Great. My name is Shara Dae. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's pretty much where I spent most of my days, as a kid, as an adolescent. So I'd like to tell you a story that kind of framed who I am as a person and gave me insight, and a better insight into who I wanted to be. So I was very aware that I was gay, and I already came out to quite a few friends. I was out in school and things along those lines, but I never had a girlfriend. But I guess in the meantime, I needed to get a little bit of strength and power and courage up. Inconveniently, I was looking through the Daily News, and the Daily News had a little speck about the attic being, I think, hosted or created by Carrie Jacobs at the time. So it was in Center City. I was already familiar with the city because I went to, a local school. And it really was at the attic, in the attic of Voyage House on Lombard Street. So I had to climb up 4 flights of stairs. It was getting hotter and hotter with every flight. It was absolutely sweltering because it was the summertime. And I looked around, there were only 4 other kids, and they're roughly my age, 14 to 15. I think maybe one was a little older. And it was just a handful of us, and everything was so quiet, and I was just like, oh, everyone's gonna hear me. Everyone's gonna hear me, my name, like, what am I gonna say? And Carrie immediately said, how do you identify? And I went, what does that mean? Identify, what do you mean? My name. And she said, no, how do you identify? Are you gay, lesbian, bisexual? And I was like, huh? What do you, gay, bisexual. No, and then I kind of whispered, lesbian. I don't know why the word was harder to say than gay, but it was a lot harder to say than gay, or bisexual. So I said lesbian, gay, and she just knelt by me very carefully and very gently and said, it's really good to have pride in who you are. And when you say it, maybe, project a little bit more. Feel it, feel pride in it. And at first I of course I said, oh, I'm lesbian, that moment. But walking home after the meeting was over, I met everyone, I really had to think about it. That night, I went to go see my girlfriend, not really girlfriend, soon to be, possibly. I'll tell you that later. So as I walk in to talk to her, it was very quiet, and we had just decided to kind of pull off into a corner by ourselves so her parents wouldn't hear. I had my courage up, and I felt a part of the community, and I thought, I'm part of the gay community. I'm feeling stronger about who I am. I'm going to open up and offer this to her as well. And maybe this is something we could do together. And we sat down. We were comfortable. I was comfortable. She looked at me. We, said that we proclaimed our love for one another. And I told her that I thought I was bisexual, but I'm gay. And her mother came out, and I didn't see her mother. So her mother actually listened to the entire conversation and decided after that I was a gay threat of some sort. I was, the gay agenda had now co-opted her daughter. So I had no idea. I went off, skipping off into the, into my wonderful imagination of what we're gonna do now as a couple. And when I got home, my neighbor called, who was also a mutual friend of Alice and myself. And she said, you have to get over here, everyone's here. The whole neighborhood's in the kitchen talking about how you told Alice that you were gay and that you wanted to be her girlfriend. So the whole neighborhood was there in the kitchen. And I was infuriated. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was absolutely infuriated because I felt as though my rights had been, trampled upon. My rights have been, absolutely encroached upon by people who didn't know me. People who only knew me from knowing little Shara. And they still thought it was okay to take who I was and make it into something else. So I decided I was going to go speak for myself. I took that courage that, Carrie helped me find and locate, and I went to the house and I approached all of the adults in the kitchen and asked them to look at me and look at who I am and let them know that they should be ashamed of themselves. If they have a question, to ask me. I'm a lesbian and I'm a proud lesbian, and that moment I realized that being able to say that out loud, being able to say that I was a lesbian and to say it with pride and conviction and strength and with a smile on my face. And I remember walking away and feeling as though I really did. I empowered myself, but I also took away their ability to then weaken me by defining who I was. And I understood why it was so important to go back and think about Carrie's words and say it's really important to have real strength and pride and say who you are and identify with pride.